Hello, and welcome to another special episode in which the Blood and Song cast play an original D&D adventure set in the magical world of theatre. This is the second of our pre-recorded episodes of our adventure, and again, I am your DM guiding the players and the audience through the action. This is the first adventure I've ever designed and the second session of D&D I've ever DM'd, so if you do have tips, tricks or feedback, then please do let me know. Without further ado, let's dive back into the world of the Smog Theatre, where the show must go on. So, in the first part of our adventure, our cast began in the green room waiting for the show to begin. Act after act took place on stage, while backstage, our cast discovered a barbed devil had got into the wardrobe department, and after finally persuading them to give them an outfit, led our characters into Barnabas Smog's office, where the devil persuaded Calcify, Chimini, and Varoog to sign a contract where they would now own the Smog Theatre in exchange for one copper piece and their immortal souls. Shakreth has now led our intrepid players into the prop store, where apparently part of their new purchase now resides. Meanwhile, on the stage, we've experienced the infamous Mr. Maurice, during which time Varoog successfully led the act through to the general delight of the audience, followed, of course, by Potion Master Chimini, who didn't have such an easy time.
Potion Master?
And
the potions did what they're meant to.
I mean, this is the thing. Ultimately, an NPC was successfully transformed. Unfortunately, it just didn't go down so well with our audience, and they did start getting a bit rancorous. While Barnabas Smog tried to regain control, up on the balcony, a school trip was descending into chaos with a bag of sticky sugar bombs. Luckily, the Caretaker was on hand to try and get the situation in hand, and it was mostly successful, although the school trip have now wandered off out of the theatre. We are now at the point where the B.B.E.G act is about to begin on stage, while backstage, our characters, having discovered an ominous portal, are about to kick a statue that they know was thinking about eating them. We're going to rejoin the action up on the stage side with Brian. Barnabas Smog has finished doing the emergency comedy routine, designed to basically hook the audience back in and get them on side, ready and warmed up for you. The atmosphere's not bad out there. They seem to be in a better mood generally. They seem to have settled down a little bit. You can't hear any coughing now. You think the mood's about ready for whatever you're going to do.
Okay, perfect. Well, Brian's becloaked and he's hunched slightly at this point. And he sort of... I think it's sort of important also to recognise that on his face, it reminds me of, the orcs from the live action World of Warcraft movie. They're like, for some reason, they've got horns and they look a bit ugly, but they're made as sympathetic characters. So he's got a softness about his face, a palliness, even though he's got some features on his face that might be a little bit difficult at first to enjoy. On stage, there is a lectern, and on it is a skull with the top cut off, and he's asked for minor illusion to have placed what is effectively a sort of Dungeons and Dragons PowerPoint presentation onto the back wall, and it's as discussed in the break, as discussed, it needs to have Times New Roman font, it needs to have star wipes, those weird ellipses, that come out of the center, like petals of a flower, and it's just black on white walls of text. It might be a clip art picture, and I'm feeling like I'd like to say this is intentional, that I also have this 90s webcam on, but it's not intentional, but I'm going to roll with it because I feel like now this is all part of the act. He's definitely out of a slightly different era. So once he's waited for the crowd to sort of reach a hush, he comes out with his cloak on and he goes, now I've got you here, restrained, defeated. I shall tell you my master plan. Oh, yeah. No, only joking. And he throws off his cloak and he goes, you see, that's the mistake you all make. B.B.E.s never monologue, okay? The only people that monologue are villains who are about to get their heads cut off, okay? Maybe a henchman. A few henchmen will monologue. But that's the first lesson you're going to learn here today, is that you never monologue. In fact, you want to say as little as possible. So I'm breaking my own rule tonight, aren't I, everyone? Yeah. So you all know me as Brian B. Everett Goddard. Some of you might know me as the Scourge of the North, East, South, and West, a Wendigo of the Wind, Archlord of the Hunt, Waking Nightmare, Sleeping Daymare, Broker of False Peace, that was my favorite one, or the B.B.E.G. Now, I know why you're all here. You want direction. You want to be useful in this world. That's okay. Everybody wants that. But you know that extreme good can't exist in this world without extreme bad. And you're just part of the equation balancing out the world. And I respect that. And I'm glad you've all come here today. You're going to do your world a service by listening today and maybe buying my book after the show. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, not everybody can be a B.B.E. And I'm going to tell you right now, and you know, I've got a lot of lawyers and sycophants around me, and I'm kind of annoyed that I did tell them to take the G off the end because it's not B.B.E.G anymore. The gnomes have done away with that, the PC gnomes, and now it's just B.B.E. because anyone can be a B.B.E, but you've got to follow my advice, okay? I promise you, you will be conquering worlds many thousands of years over. And it's the long game. It's the long game. You may know some of my conquests. You may know the conquest of Terra Nova. That was a good one. You may know the battle for the Black Sun. You may know the charge of the Acid Marches. That was I led that one personally. Although I was a tiny gnat. The important thing, I'll get to it. The important thing is that you're not front and center. That's for your lieutenants. I'm one of the few B.B.Es you'll find that's actually retired. Done such a good job. I've retired to my favorite land that I own, the continent of Cancer. Now, I'm author of the book Burn Down Your Taverns. And I'm also the author of the book Critical Bowl, Charms, Trinkets, and How You Can Keep Your Power for 1,000 Years. Because it's important. And you know, if you come to the seminar, we talk about how you can instill parts of your soul into a small object, which can then be lost for 1,000 years and then accidentally brought back to life. So in my latest, next slide, please. In my latest book, Inspiring Conquest on Any Plane, and by the way, his book is just the same each time he brings out a book. It's the same, but with the words mixed up and the sentences and chapters mixed up, so that essentially you feel like you're reading a new book, but he hasn't put any further work into it at all. Some of the tips I go into in my book are how to work on your voice. Now, some of you might know when I first came out here, I was actually doing a different voice. Now, I'm retired, you know, so I wouldn't take this as the voice you want to do. You want to do something, you know, gravelly, and maybe you want to be have this kind of, you know, it's just an example. It's just an example, isn't it? But you've got to find a good voice. Part of that is, you know, you're not going to be the one speaking most of the time. I'll be honest with you. Like, you really only say a couple of key things. Build me an army. You know, you just a couple of pointers to the people that are going to be boots on the ground doing the hard work. And you're all here because you don't want to do the hard work, because you've done it already, haven't you? You've done all the hard work already. You want to just sit back and take the the rewards that you're rightfully owed. And I like that. So one of the other tips I go into is marketability. So you really got to be able to look good on a tome. You really want to look good. Let me give you an example. If a wizard is looking through, pouring through a load of books, vellum, and he's trying to find out, oh, what's the new B.B.E.G coming over the land? You want to strike terror and fear with the image he sees in there. You want him to be like, oh my goodness, I have to notify the troops. And you want to really sort of shit him up a little bit. So I think it's important to look good. You never do your own fighting. And you know what? I'll get to that in the seminar. You've got to put your gold down if you want to know how not to do your own fighting, because that's for the peons. I'll tell you now, and you guys, all of you, you don't look like peons to me. And you all look like winners. And so you need to know how to look good without fighting. And he uses mage armor, he casts mage armor on himself, and he has the most spectacular, like it looks like, a building that he's just put onto himself. He just has, there's sharp bits flying out everywhere, and it's just the most amazing sort of classic villain's outfit that you've ever seen. And he just produces it, boom, like that, and wants the audience to, he wants a reaction from the audience that he's expecting, I think.
Okay, so at the point where this is going to spectacularly appear, whether or not you're going to get the reaction you really want depends on basically how good the build-up was. So I'm going to need you to make me a performance check to see if you got them where you wanted them when that went off.
Okay. Well, it's a 14. It's a 14. It could go either way.
Okay. The effect happens. Mm-hmm. And some of the room are really into it. You can see that there's some expectant faces. They're really kind of going, oh, yeah, wow. Like, really kind of responding at the right time. They're quite into it. But you haven't got the whole room. There's still some people who are looking a little bit kind of like they're sort of reading the PowerPoint instead of necessarily looking and listening to what you're saying. There's a few people where that they have this healthy dose of cynicism basically every time someone's clearly trying to sell them a book. So there's a little bit of this feeling where they're not all where you'd quite like them to be, but you've got enough of the room on board that actually they're reasonably quiet and settled, waiting expectantly for the next part. So what happens?
He wanders over in his armor, takes a sip out of the it's obviously very difficult. Maybe he has to lift up the helmet because it's got bits all over it. Takes a little sip out of his skull, and he goes, now I know I haven't got all of you. That's okay. It's healthy to be a cynic. In fact, big bad guy trait. It's a big bad guy trait. You can't take everything at face value. And I respect that about every single one of you. Now, if you come to my seminar, I'll be signing you up at the end of the show. Low price, just some gold, and then another down payment of some gold, and then some other things. You'll be able to see the tenets of how you build a B.B.E. persona, including, let me just tell you very quickly, a name is a very important thing. You might want to be called Prince of Harkness. That's quite a good one. You might want to be the ulcer of the common folk. That's one that I've had. I never had a chance to use it because I aged out of that. But nail foe, that's a clever one. If you think about hammers. But you've got to remember, you're the B.B.E. Okay, you're not the mastermind. Okay, because I've heard. I know the masterminds go around and they mastermind things, right? You're not a villain. All right, you need to think bigger. You need to have you're thinking like a throne, maybe in the middle of on top of an asteroid, and you're just there on your own, and then people come and talk to you, and you're just on a throne. It doesn't make sense. Where's the catering? It doesn't. You need to be somewhere else, interesting, unique. Where's the atmosphere around the asteroid? It doesn't matter. All right, you're just in a big chair. It turns around by itself. Where are the controls? Doesn't matter. So you've got to think B.B.E. And I know what you're thinking. Strahd broke all these rules, right? that some of you may know. Yeah, some of you, I know, I can hear you talking about it already. Yeah, so, you know, bro, why buy the book? Because he broke all these rules. He was having his pull stringed. His pull stringed. He was having his strings pulled. You see, Strahd, I'm sorry, I'm passionate. All right, I'm. The thing about, listen, you might all be fans of Strahd, yeah, but the Dark Powers were the real BB there. Okay, they told Strahd what to do. He was a sympathetic villain as well. I just want to put that out there. And you can't be sympathetic, okay, because that means you're just a villain, and you're going to turn maybe in the next campaign, and you're going to help the good guys. So I just want to tell you briefly, if you come onto my seminar, you're going to learn to despise your heroes. Okay, you really got to despise them from your bones. No sympathy at all in there. But at the same time, and this is very important, you got to have cool heroes, because without a cool hero, you're not a cool villain. All right, so you need to have heroes that the whole land, and you can actually engineer this in a master plan, which is chapter 5 of the book, Master Plans. You can engineer these things so that the good guys are rooted for by the whole land before you quash them. I want to say that's very important. And now I'm just going to show you very briefly an example of what you can get. And he wheels out, or he requests to have wheeled out a glass coffin, and maybe just a sort of, just like an arrangement of flowers that sort of looks like, maybe it's like a vase with a person inside of it. They're just two really unusual, sort of macabre, like if you've seen the TV show Hannibal, like basically every murder from that, they're all these wonderful, beautiful, disgusting pieces of artwork, and he rolls them both out, and there's a sort of a corpse or a body in each of them. And he points at one and he goes, yeah, so this is Frugal. He's a halfling. Frugal was trying to deliver a brooch to the middle of a maelstrom in the sea. I sent down the Lich Kraken, which I thought was quite a clever move. I didn't want to blow it too early, but actually it came at the right time, swallowed him whole. So that's why you can see he's preserved here, like this, in the acid, stomach acid of the Kraken. And this has been in my kitchen for a little while, you know. You want to have your trophies up there. You want to be able to see them. This one, and he points at the slightly taller one in the glass coffin. This one's Bram Snowfall. Now, he tried to keep my forces in the south from invading the Northlands, died in the battle against the Og Troll Guardian. So that's why his face is a little smashed in. So, and this one, and he wanders over to a skull. This one's my old assistant. So, knife in the back, literally and figuratively. One of those hurt, I'll be honest with you. But no love lost. His skin was lost, however. I did that. And he's still alive. So he's in pain for forever. So there's that. And sometimes I just let the beverage in him go lukewarm, you know, because you've got to have a bit of fun with your acts of evil. And he takes a sip and he lets it sink into the audience because he really desperately wants them to be wowed by the conquest of these heroes.
Okay, so in order to determine whether the audience is suitably impressed and buying that you were the end of these heroes, I'm going to need you to make me an intimidation check.
Okay. Come on. That's a 17 on the intimidation.
Okay.
Can't say I'm rolling well, but I'm not rolling quite as badly as some of the earlier acts, so that's all right.
It is a tough room, and it's a big cell.
Mm-hmm.
You get the feeling that you haven't necessarily pulled them on from where you had them before. So you've got your fans, you've got people in the audience who are like, yeah, like I'm really feeling this, I'm taking notes, I'm really taking this on board from this guy. And you've got other people who are still kind of like reading the PowerPoint, not quite necessarily on board with the topic. Maybe they're not your target audience, to be fair. Not everybody wants to achieve these things. So again, like there's that slight rustle of sweet wrappers in a couple of areas of the audience, but no one's actually getting riotous. They're just still tipping on the edge of whether or not you're going to blow them away. The prince at the moment is sitting pretty neutrally. Doesn't really give you much of a read either way about what's going on from that side, from the balcony. So again, you've got this sense of like, you're holding the room, but you haven't necessarily wowed the room yet as you go into the end of your act.
Okay. So Brian finishes the cup of lukewarm tea with the little scum at the top and the little, the milk's gone off a little bit. And he goes, okay, now's the portion where I take questions from you wonderful people. Ask me anything now. The answer might be in my book, but I'll tell you if it is. Get a copy at the end of the show.
Okay, so the follow spot operator once again will swing into action for you to pick out people as hands start to make their way into the air in the auditorium. So the light swings around and it finds you a very large and muscular tiefling. He's stuffed into a suit. And there's a tie kind of just straining around this very broad neck. He appears to have brought a notebook and seems to be taking this really quite seriously. And as the light hits him, he kind of eagerly looks up and says, I just wanted to know your opinion on the effectiveness of dungeons versus towers if I'm trying to intimidate a foe when they arrive.
That's a very good question. What did you say your name was?
My name is Burns. Mr. Burns.
That's do you know what? I have a feeling you've got the right name to make it as a B.B.E. Dungeons versus towers. Did I get that question right?
Yes. What do you think is more effective for intimidating an enemy?
For intimidation. Well, a good tower, of course, it's intimidating, right? So if that's your key demo and you're going, I want to intimidate everybody, the tower, the more phallic it is, the better. You want it to be, it's erect, it's, it comes with all the sort of territory. But the thing is, it depends if you're intimidating the masses, that you want to go tower. If you're intimidating them before they start the quest, like, oh my God, we've got to get over there, tower. But I would say let's say you're in the later stages, you've amassed your armies and the good guys are making their foolish trip to you, then you really want a dungeon. Because dungeons can take, I'll be honest with you, if you plan it right, fucking ages. Excuse my language. It can take bloody ages to go down a dungeon, and you're intimidating the adventurers, the heroes, all the way through. So just constantly, it's like, it's a mimic or something comes up, check the ceiling. They have to keep checking the ceiling in case something falls down. So like there you're intimidating the people that are actually coming on the adventure. So I would say it depends on your demo for the intimidation. Does that answer your question there, Burns?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
I can tell you're I think I've seen you at a few of these before. This guy Burns, he's a top tier level contributor, all right, and he really knows, like, you've bought every book, haven't you? Come to every one of these. This is the sort of BB I'm going to see next. I'm going to see this guy on the front cover of a wizard's tome, right? This guy, honestly, thank you, Burns, I appreciate that.
Okay. From the wings, you will notice the stage manager give you a little signal that basically means you've got time for one more question. Spotlight will swing around for you again. And then it's going to land on quite an elderly looking elf wearing all bright pink. It's very frilly. There's a bit too much lace going on and her hair is very coiffed on top. Mm-hmm. And she looks up at you and says, I just wondered, you mentioned putting your soul into items. What's your favourite place to put a soul?
And I love this audience. It's a really good question. And I suppose it depends. I guess you're talking about your own soul and not the soul of somebody that you want to trap in another realm for a sort of set period of time.
Oh, I was referring to the idea of being able to, be resurrected from the soul, eternal, immortal, evil life.
Yeah, and I could listen. I know I can tell you're somebody who really benefit from my seminar actually, and I am sort of giving discounts after the show. I guess my favorite. That's a great question, and I've had many of them. Chalice is always good, because it's sort of like an ancient artifact. It can be dug up by somebody. It's got value. You want it to be something that sort of looks this, and this works for everything: brooches, rings, the lot. You want it to look normal, unassuming, but when given the right set of conditions, then it appears to be magical. Because you don't want just anybody. And I had this with a friend of mine actually. Had a powerful artifact. Tiny person got hold of it. Had it for way longer than he wanted them to have it for. So and that's okay. Like, you have to accept the transmission between person to person. But I mean, really, this person was really, really sour about it. I won't name any names. But yeah, so I guess it's got to be something sort of unassuming, but when applied, somebody with the knowledge could. And do you know what? Something that you put on is good, because a good guy might put it on by accident. So and then it might unleash you or a part of you. So I really think you've got to go for like, I don't know about necklace, because like I'm not a sexist, right? But I don't necessarily want it only to be put on the necks of sort of tieflings and that lot. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't really like, and all those other ones. So really, you want to be sort of like maybe a ring with something cool on it, because you really want to end up in like a sort of position of power as soon as possible. But anyway, look, I don't know. Have you ever thought about it yourself? Maybe you've got something you like, some kind of trinket or.
She looks up at you and says, "Oh, well, one does daydream," and she touches the scarf around her neck. You notice it's got cats on it.
Ah, I know. Listen, you'd love my probably the last 5 books I've written actually, but yeah, that's really ingenious. Do you know? Maybe we'll meet after the show. Maybe we'll have a drink. So yeah, I mean, anyone can do it. Anyone can be it. And if you buy my book, An Antidote for Order in the Modern Age, you will be able to lead your best life, a lonely life, but your best life.
Okay. As you bring it to a close, we need to find out whether the audience are buying this nice conversational, cozy kind of atmosphere that we've actually got going with this Q&A at the end here, really answering those questions for them. So make me a performance check to see whether everyone is drawn into this chat.
That's going to be a 16.
Okay.
God, we haven't had any bonkers rolls, have we? Where are the nat 20s today?
So, your fans are still wrapped. They're still feeling it. They're, again, you think people have been taking notes. People seem to be getting quite like on board with the concept. But there's enough of the crowd, because this is quite a hard sell as a concept. Like, even to an audience as varied as this one from around the multiverse, you're trying to persuade them ultimately to be nefarious, big, bad, evil. Mm-hmm. Not all of them are necessarily easy to persuade on that subject, but they have enjoyed overall the performance and delivery of it. You've got enough of them on board that actually, as the applause begins at the end, it's pretty warm. You think you've won the room round just about. They're not thunderously on their feet thinking it's the best thing they've ever seen, but you've held the room. The atmosphere's pretty reasonable as the act comes to an end, and you're pretty sure you can see people checking their wallets out in the auditorium, wondering if they've got enough gold to buy a book. So,
right.
You do notice that some people do once again get up and leave the seats, as they so often do when the performance hasn't been perfect. So this time you notice that a few people who you suspect were a little more on the moral end of the spectrum start shuffling out of the auditorium as though thinking, if this is the kind of thing on offer, perhaps this isn't the show for me, and begin making their way out of the doors at the back. So there is now a reasonable sprinkling across the act of empty seats, but the room overall is still majority full. As we now move the action to backstage once again, we're actually going to hold Brian in that moment, because at the point where you're leaving the stage is the point where an awful lot of things are simultaneously happening. Brian, at this point in time, you've just concluded your act. So, in order to be able to make your way to join everyone, I'm going to begin you essentially at the top of the steps leading down from the wings into the backstage area. So from where you are, you will be able to see that the prop store doors are open. And depending basically on where you head, you would probably quite quickly be able to see that there are people inside, because it is quite big double doors to the prop store. So it's quite an open view. But at the moment, that is where you are. So the portal itself, as I've said, is on that northern wall at the back of the prop store. Helena has just approached the statue that you guys know has basically just been thinking about eating you all. And at the moment that Brian is heading down the steps and everything is just hung in this moment of time, this is where the stage manager is going to say, Ms. Handa Bassket, this is your call. Ms. Handa Bassket, your call.
Oh,
thank you.
Let's get this.
At that moment, because you have just kicked a statue, it is going to come to life.
Yeah.
So the statue's mouth opens wide with teeth just dripping with saliva inside. The mouth is impossibly wide. A tongue lolls forward, impossibly long. This thing doesn't really look anything like Barnabas Smog anymore, although it's got still a sort of vaguely humanoid body going on. It now looks kind of a little bit still like its statue form, but the thing that really strikes you is the big slavering mouth and the long claws. It is going to lunge, of course, for Helena. Everybody,
Darling, I've had worse boyfriends.
Everybody, please roll me initiative.
Oh, you fucking kidding me?
Okay. Does anybody have more than 20? Okay. 15 to 20?
17.
Got 18.
18, okay. No worries.
Used to be in first.
10 to 15?
14.
14. Okay. Anyone else in 10 to 15? Okay, 5 to 10?
8.
5.
8 and 5. Okay.
3.
3.
That's right. I rolled a natural 1. That's
There you
great.
go. There you go, Sean. There's your
Okay.
bonkers rolls. There's the bonkers rolls. Yes,
No
that's right.
worries. Give me 1 second while we just check what is going off. So,
There's Chim in there. Running.
sorry?
Is Chim in the order?
Yeah, I said 8.
Oh,
8.
right. I didn't hear that. Sorry.
No worries. Okay. And just adding in. All right. Right. As combat begins, this statue is going to get a round off at you before you can do anything else. So, what happens is, Helena, as you kick your foot out, hoping to connect with the statue, it transforms and it whacks that horrible, long, salivary tongue out at you. As it does this, it is going to make an attack roll against you.
Just in my leotard and spangly flares, so you know.
Luckily for you, it's far too enthusiastic about this. And it actually misses.
My ex-boyfriends.
It misses the first attack. The tongue swings wide as it eagerly goes for you. But unfortunately, it does not manage to grab you in this instance. So that means we begin at the top of the initiative order. So that is going to be Varoog El Het.
Thank you. Can I please, can I just double check, this is a quick one, with the fire, I've got Firebolt, which I'd like to cast as a cantrip. Is that going to hurt everyone within 5 foot? It doesn't look like it will.
No, you'll be fine to do that.
Great. I'm gonna cast Firebolt then, please.
No problem at all. And that's a roll, you roll to hit for a Firebolt, is that correct?
Yeah. Natural 20.
Oh.
Okay. You
Nice.
get a
Plus
solid
because I got a
hit.
+5 for that as well, don't I?
Very nice. So what's the damage?
Damage is I might do this 2d10.
Well, we're doing regular crits, right? So it's
normal.
so
normal
20
crits.
20 points of damage straight up, and then roll 2 d10s.
Okay. 2 10s. I don't think I've ever rolled my d10s. I got a, oh my god, I got a 9 and a 10. So that's 19.
So 19?
19.
Oh,
39
Oh my god,
points
I
of
can
fire
send you a
damage.
picture of this as well if you really
Wait,
need.
sorry, to clarify, we're doing normal rule crits, not
sorry, I meant
homebrew crits.
our blood and song rule crits, right? Is that how we're doing it?
No, sorry, we're not going to do homebrew.
okay.
Sorry, that's me
We'll roll that
misunderstanding what you
again.
meant. We're not doing homebrew crits.
That's all right.
But you still keep your you can keep your
Yeah.
dice rolls because obviously you're still going to roll double damage dice. So you got your 19,
Yeah.
but then it's add your damage bonus.
Oh god,
Yeah.
sorry.
And then roll another 2d10.
Damage bonus. Where would I find that?
Oh, there's no damage bonus
No,
on
no,
Firebolt.
I know.
Oh no, there isn't on Fireball anyways there, so that's fine.
No.
Sorry, that's my
Yeah.
mistake.
Well, so it's 4d10 now instead of 2.
So yeah,
What-
just
what-
roll 2 more d10 and then add
Yeah.
that to 19.
Get
I
another
got
19.
5 and a 2, so 7. So it was 19 on the first one.
Cool, so that's 26. Is that right?
That
Yeah.
is helpful.
Perfect. Okay, so the firebolt zips through the air, hits the statue square on, and yeah, I mean, there's no illusion that this is a statue anymore because this thing's taken a hefty dose of flame. It doesn't look very happy about it as it kind of screams incoherently with flames licking around it.
It's always the quiet ones, isn't it?
Isn't it? Watch out. Can I use my bonus action? Is Wrath? What's her name? Shaq Wrath. Is she still in the room?
Although Shakreth has led you here, she's not in helping you do anything. She's really just wanted to show you what was inside. So she's lurking by the doorway, but is not currently involved.
Okay. Well, could I use my bonus action to shout over to her and go, "What is this?"
You absolutely can.
Cool.
So yes, you will get a response in time.
Righto. Thank you very much.
No problem. Would you like to do anything else? Would you like to move anywhere or?
No, I'm quite happy where I am at the moment. Thanks, though.
No worries at all. Okay, next up we've got the Caretaker. What would you like to do?
Talking statue is not that strange in the theatre. But a portal. This will mean cleaning. I will attempt to dispel the portal. And use dispel magic.
Okay, so you're going to cast Dispel Magic on the portal. Is there a range limit on that?
120 feet.
Perfect, cool. So, yeah, you'll be absolutely fine from where you're standing. So, Dispel Magic, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no checks or saves or anything for that.
Depends on the
is
level of the
there?
spell that has been cast. So if it's third or
Okay.
under, it's instantly dispelled. Anything else, it's DC 10 plus whatever level the spell was cast at.
Right, okay. So in this case, because of the nature of what you're dealing with, you can actually just use Dispel Magic without checks or saves. But what's going to happen is when your spell goes off, you see the portal ripple ominously as your magic hits it. And somehow it seems to push and redirect the energy almost around the edges to hit specifically one of the control gems, which explodes. At the point that it explodes, the two edges of the portal that were nearest kind of connecting to it start to kind of collapse and wobble slightly. So now you've still got this bottom curve connected by two intact gems. You've got a kind of wobbling top. So the portal is still there, but it's not the beautiful circle that it was. But there's still a black shifting mass from what is still up there on the wall. But one control gem, completely obliterated.
Useful. I would like to use my bonus action. Not used to having one, am I? And I will use my starry form to turn into a dragon made of stars. It is only my size, so a little
Okay,
dragon.
perfect.
Whelp.
No worries. So yeah, you can do that. You can turn into a dragon. Do you want to move anywhere?
No.
Or, yeah, just as you are
This is my
as a
turn.
dragon. Perfect. No worries at all. So you successfully do this, and then it is the turn of Brian. Now, Brian, you are currently on the stairs. It would be fair to say that because you've just had like a firebolt go off and things like that, you would probably at least audibly know something is going on, but what you do is up to you.
Would I be able to reach the door? I have a 30 feet of movement.
You'd be able to get far enough to see kind of through the door with 30 feet, but if you wanted to keep going into the room, you would need to basically be doing a dash action to kind of keep travelling.
I just move up. I think Brian saunters up to the... Oh, he's still got his mage armour on, but he's about to take his helmet off. Oh, because he's just come off stage, but oh no, there's something going on, so he'll pop it back on. And he finds the tiefling lady at the door. So I think he'll move to the door and as an action cast Charm Person on the tiefling that's in front of him.
Sorry, you're thinking of so when you say tiefling, you're thinking of the devil. Is that who you're casting on?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
The
so
devil.
for Charm Person, is that a saving throw?
It is a wisdom save of 14.
Okay.
That's is there a difference between doing it when you cast a spell using a spell sort of second or higher? You can target one additional creature. No, okay, so I'll just do it at first level.
Okay. Yeah, so you can absolutely cast Charm Person on Shakrath, and yeah, it goes off successfully. Shakrath will turn to look at you, and obviously now regards you as a friendly acquaintance, essentially. Obviously, relatively speaking, Shakrath was fairly warm to you already, so there's no kind of massive change to demeanour. Yeah, they're charmed by you.
And as a bonus, I say, Shakrath, did you say? God, that was one of my best performances out there. What's going on in here?
Okay, so for Shakrath to respond to you, you're again going to need to really wait for their moment in the order. But you can absolutely ask them that question.
Perfect. And then that would be my my go over.
No worries at all. All right then. So now it is the go of the statue. So with Helena still firmly currently within its range, it is going to try and attack you again. Ooh, okay.
Just to clarify, it's got 2 goes this round, Becky, yeah? Sorry.
So this is because when you first kicked it, it gets an instant response to that. That is not... Yeah, it's basically just that was in response specifically to somebody kicking it for the first time. We're now into initiative order with it, and that's where it's going. All right?
Fine. Yeah, no worries.
So in this case, it's a 21 to hit.
That's most definitely a hit.
So it is. So again, it's going to be lashing out at you with the horrible long tongue, and it is going to do 6 points of bludgeoning damage to you. Now, as the tongue hits you, it is going to stick to you. You are now stuck to the statue.
Okay.
So you are currently grappled by the statue.
As the tongue latches itself to me, Helena shouts, "Not my first time, darling." And the talisman that she's wearing, she's got a chain, a talisman, and it bursts with sort of unholy light, and it causes this, like, she doesn't scream, but it's as if she was screaming in his head. Imagine, kind of like a rape alarm, I imagine, in his head, going, because it's not her first time. And it blats it away for 3 points of damage, psychic damage, and pushes it 10 foot away from her.
Okay. So, for the push away, because you've got some shelving that's just directly to the north of it, I think what we'll say is that it would travel, essentially, I've just realised I've made a mistake and not dropped the token on the board for you to actually see this particular monster. That is my bad, and we'll be resolving that right now as it is standing in that place. Okay, so basically it's now going to be pushed to the west because that's probably going to be its kind of clear direction of travel, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's not going to actually be able to move away from you. So we'll say that's been moved 10 feet away from you.
Don't touch what you can't afford, bitch.
Okay. So, moving on in the initiative order, we are now at Chimini. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where sometimes we get technical gremlins while doing a recording for a broadcast, but we do have his instructions.
Yes. Bradley has some instructions.
Okay. So we're doing.
He would like to cast grease underneath the.
No worries at all. So I'm just checking the rules on grease.
10-foot square, is it? Johnny could tell you about grease.
10 foot square dex save. It's one of my faves.
Okay, no problem. So it's got to succeed on a dexterity saving throw. Let's see if it manages.
15.
It does. I'm afraid it succeeds on its dex saving throw, which means... So I don't think there's going to be an effect, but it is on difficult terrain. Is that correct?
And the area is still greased around it.
No worries. So I'm assuming, obviously we're going to have to slightly assume where that would have been placed, but I would assume it's going to be around its location there. Can everyone see that square?
Yeah, that seems sensible.
Amazing. So that area is now covered in slick grease and is difficult terrain. Very nice. Okay. For the time being, then, if we leave Chimini where they are,
would he still want to firebolt? That's what he's.
He can't do both. It was grease if there were people if there weren't people around. If there were people nearby, then
what's the ruling? Is grease a cantrip?
No.
Yes, it's an action. And grease is his first level spell.
First level spell.
Okay.
Okay, so in which case, moving on in initiative order, it is Calcify's turn.
All right. Calcify is gonna go Oli Patuli. I can't remember what I called my mage hand now. Dolores, fetch me my sword. And he's gonna sort of, as you saw this sort of chunky looking boy, which, you know, chubby man, he sort of like sucks it all in. But as he sort of sucks it all in and like gets a bit stronger, you sort of see that he's quite a muscly boy. You know, he's got like, he hasn't got the mirror muscles like some of them, but you know, he's practical, like strong.
Meat slab.
And he's gonna as a bonus action, I'm gonna enter my blade song, which gives me all manner of wonderful bonuses. One of those is an increased movement, and so I'm gonna sort of skirt round. So I'm about. I can move my own token, can't I?
Yeah, if you do just want to move its place, that's fine.
Yeah, sweet. So I'm just gonna. Oh no, I can't. So I just basically want to move. I get 40 feet of movement, so I want to move to like just to the left of this big dresser up the top here.
Okay.
So I'm sort of nearer to the portal.
Sure.
And after seeing our wonderful friend, wonderful caretaker try and clean up the portal and seeing one of the crystals smashed, I'm going to use a first level spell to cast Jim's magic missile.
Okay.
So I create three of these darts sort of flow around me, and I'm gonna fire. You can fire them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can fire them at 3 different targets, can't you? Chum chum chum. Cool. So I want to fire. Do you have to declare all 3 of them at the same time? Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna. So yeah, tell me what you're targeting with them.
Okay. Well, then in which case I'll do this. I'll cast it second level, which means I get 4 darts, and I'm going to cast 2 at each. Pachow, pachow. The 2 crystals that are left in the portal.
No worries. And so for this one, sorry, remind me, is it an attack roll or a save?
It is an attack roll.
It's attack roll. Cool.
Is
no worries.
Jim's magic missiles. So I need to roll for each dart. So we're going to get a 25 for one, 13 for another. So that's the 2 on the left.
Okay.
And then the 2 on the right will be another 13 and a dirty 20.
Okay. So, in which case, you are actually going to hit with all of them. These are not actually that difficult to hit with things, you notice. So, roll your damage.
Okay, so it's 2d4 per thingy. So that's going to be 8 d4s. Well, that's a lot of noise. Okay, that's popped up as 20, but let's say the first 4 are going to be on the left crystal are going to be A. This is where the quick math really comes in. 12 on one side.
12 on one side, okay.
12 on the left. And 2, 4, 6, and 8 on the right.
And 8 on the right, okay. So, what you notice as these things hit is that this is not like Dispel Magic, in that it's not just instantaneously exploding crystals. They are taking damage from what you're doing, however. And you see the crystals slightly crack and fragment as the damage is hitting them. You do notice that the one on the left is more damaged, so it does seem to have taken more of a hit. But at the moment, while the crystals are still there, nothing has changed otherwise about the portal. The portal is still perfect curve at the bottom, kind of loosely wobbling curve at the top. So at the moment, they're still in position.
Jeez, I haven't cast that spell in such a long time. Oh, no one told me to get that much out of me. Oh. I'm so out of shape.
Okay. Anything else on your turn?
That's everything for me, thank you.
Perfect. So, moving on to Helena Bassket.
Look, if you're going to try and tie someone up, darling, you got to do it properly. And she shoves her hand out, and on her arm, you haven't seen, she's got a sleeve tattoo, which is like all these tentacles. It looks beautiful, but as she reaches out, these tentacles actually extend out of her hand and keep going, sort of black inky mess, and slam into the thing. It has to make a strength 14.
Okay, no problem. Okay, it's a 21.
Well, that's fine. Then it doesn't do it, and she's like, well, I'm obviously out of practice too. And then for good measure, she thinks really hard at it. And so her leg, she does another kick, but she doesn't get anywhere near him, but he is shoved. Let's just check my telekinetic shove. They now need to make a strength 15.
Okay, that's a solid fail that time.
So I don't do any damage, but I push it 5 foot. So I'm just going to slam it into the thing again on the grease. So I'm basically going to try and shove it around, slam it up into the shelves.
Okay, so are you, because it's kind of against the shelves here, are you saying you're moving it further south?
No, I'm trying to slam it into the shelves to try and make it lose its footing and slip over in the grease.
Oh, okay. So you want it to hold position, but you want it to essentially make another dex
I assume I can't
saving.
shove it. I'm shoving it west, but I'm assuming that won't actually move it. Might smack it into the shelves. The shelves fall on it, or it slips over on the grease.
No worries. Okay. Yes, obviously I'm just looking at, so strictly speaking, on obviously the flavour of the spell grease, it's obviously designed for kind of this happening at the beginning of the creature's turn, checking whether it's going to fall down again as opposed to it moving across. So what we will do... I'm
okay with that. Like, I'm just shoving it, making it
sort of slides on its feet.
Yeah. You're essentially going to keep it where it is, and then we'll find out at the beginning of its turn whether it's going to fall over. What I might say is I think it would be fair for it to make its dex saving throw at disadvantage, because in fact when it's beginning its turn in the grease, it's just had a good hard shove on it, which it normally wouldn't have done while it was standing there.
I'll take that. That's great.
So yeah, you've definitely affected it on the grease, but because you're essentially pushing it against a shelf, it's not pushing someone down or over.
No, absolutely. And then I'd like to move. I dance. I pirouette out the way, and then keep Shene turning all the way around. The old scissor keep leap around. It's graceful as a gazelle, and I'd like to move around to about here. I think I can move with 30 foot.
Sure.
Helena, what are you doing? You gotta get on stage.
Tracy, fucking start the music, will you? It happens every fucking time.
Okay.
Actually, you make a good point. Should I move 30 foot away? 10, 15, where can I move to? I haven't got time for this shit. Right, yeah, I'm going to move down here, please. Then instead.
Sorry, so you're coming down here?
By the door.
Here, please.
Right here. All right. No worries. So Helena is making her way
Readjusting
out.
my wig.
Now, we are reaching Shakreth's turn. So, although they were originally obviously asked a question by Varoog El-Het, they have now actually been charmed by Brian. So instead, they will actually turn to Brian in this instance and respond to what you've asked them about what's going
Ignore the
on.
guy in black. Fine.
Okay, so Shakreth basically turns to you and says, "Darling, this is part of your deluxe portal package. It's the tester portal. It comes complimentary." And that is what Shakreth's going to do on their turn.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we are now at the point where the portal is going to ripple rather ominously. The top of it is still kind of floating slightly free, but you watch it bulge as something pushes hard from the other side. And 2 huge claws emerge, followed by the rest of a creature that scuttles on long, spindly legs, but with a big, chunky, armoured torso. Its head has tiny, beady eyes on the side, but what you're particularly struck by is a mouth full of tentacles. It pushes its way...
That's pretty good. Pretty accurate.
It pushes its way out of the portal and stands directly in front of it. It is a big creature. So you think probably about 10 feet or so in size. Like, it's really had to shove its way out of this loose, flapping portal to get through. And on that note, we are going to go to a break.
Oof. Oof.
Ouch.
I shouldn't have stepped so close to this damn portal.
Valued members of the audience, there will now follow a short interval, during which time you can partake of light refreshments and use the facilities. We look forward to seeing you for the second half of the show. Members of the audience, this is your 2-minute call. Please return to your seats.
Hello, welcome back. We are rejoining the action in the prop store and finding out how our team are going to get on. So we've just had a gribbly monster emerge through the portal to stand directly in front of it. And at this point, we are therefore returning to the top of the round, and it's Varoog El Het's go.
Well, I think I did very well with the fireball before, so I'm going to have another go at that one, and I'm going to fire it at the statue creature. Am I right that the creature has come out of that statue? So
sorry, that's
is it the statue?
So it essentially is the statue. So now that you can basically see, so the kind of the original, the genuinely inanimate statue that's still standing there, still just standing there, a statue. The other one is very much transformed into this creature. You think it was just basically pretending to look the same.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I'm going to do another firebolt at that thing then, if that's all right.
Of course.
So yeah, I'm gonna. What I got to do? Oh, did I do that? I did it online. There we go. I think I got a. I don't know how it works online. I'm just going to roll my d20. I've got no idea. Oh, I got a 19.
Okay.
Plus 5, so 24.
Perfect. So you are going to hit it.
Yay! 2d10.
Mm-hmm.
I
got a 6 and a 9.
Nice. So an extra 15 points of damage. All right. It's not looking happy. This thing, there's kind of bits starting to hang off it now. It's taken some serious licks. This thing has not enjoyed being on fire. So yeah, it's still standing, but its legs are starting to buckle a little bit. It's looking a lot less sure of itself.
That's all right.
Like one of my ex-boyfriends.
Again. Okay. And I think for now, that is probably going to be me. No, I'm going to move. I'm going to move 10 foot. I'm going to move to the. Now I've got to do east. You know where the boat is. I'm just going to move a little back to the. No, it makes sense. It would be north of the boat. So.
Okay. And you want to move 10 feet. So would that be to there?
Yeah. Could you do a diagonal move?
Yeah, sure. So you wanted to move into the sort of over to the corner, or
in between the
between those?
Where between? So there. So it's literally just north of the.
Perfect.
I'll be staying there.
Very nice. So from where you're now standing, you can actually start to see almost like the edge of the huge creature that's just emerged from a portal. You're actually slightly seeing it around the other aisle now, of the prop store, because it is very big.
Can you remind me what the blue area effect is that's next to me? Is there a box there? Is that an area effect somewhere?
Oh, I apologise. I don't think we should have an area effect there, unless someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the only thing we've got in play right now is grease, which is currently over where the statue monster is. So you've got nothing to worry about in your area.
Thank you. That's me done.
Okay, no worries. All right, coming up next, we have the Caretaker.
I am going to walk up to the other statue using my movement. Then, I will bonus action Misty Step onto the table in front of me.
Nice. Okay, no problem. You can now be standing on the table.
That is my bonus action. For my action, I will use my cantrip, Gust, and attempt to push the creature back into the portal.
Nice. Okay, so remind me again with Gust, what does the creature need to do?
Strength 15 save.
Okay, let's see how that goes.
That was coming up to the copyright infringement. I could noise or backwards talking, reverse talking, upside down talking, but like together, which might happen. That's when we're going to get the DMCA takedown.
Save is normal sentence.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying. Just at some point, we're going to hit that DMCA takedown.
Okay.
You might, Johnny, before you've cast that, I think only because I used this the other day, that looks like a large creature, and I'm not entirely sure Gust works on a large creature. I'm just putting it out there. Only because I tried to do exactly the same thing in another game.
Part of me thinks maybe he's just trying to get the dust back out of the room.
So this is a large creature. So just to double check that rule, are you okay on a large or not?
Not okay, but
not
the
okay.
Caretaker
Okay,
does not know this.
Cool. All right. In that case, what happens is As it happens, it had actually succeeded anyway. So you let the spell off, and obviously you would expect to send it successfully tumbling back through the portal. Unfortunately, this thing is very big and you suspect very heavy. And although the gust kind of batters against its exoskeleton, it doesn't move backwards. It is still standing its ground in front of the rippling portal.
If it had hair, I'd like it's like some like grand entrance where it walks in and it just gets hair blown back.
I mean, technically speaking, you're definitely going to be ruffling its tentacles in a sort of glamorous.
I love it. Like,
80s music video.
Whipping
like
them back
weird
and forth.
Mariah Carey.
Ellen is jealous. From the other side, you hear a sigh.
So it'd be like that kind of noise.
This is.
I think, is that everything on your turn?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Moving on down. Brian.
So Calcify will.
Sorry, that's Brian, not Ryan. That's my
sorry.
diction for
Aha.
you. I was in
Okay.
fact referring
I
to
thought,
our
oh, that's
B.B.E.G. I
interesting that
suddenly
Becky's
realised
using
that
the name
is.
Ryan. Yeah.
And
That is on
now
my-
I understand why Sean picked the name Brian, just to trip me up.
I really didn't. I was thinking
on
of the
this.
plainest B word that that this character could have as a real name.
Bradley.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh,
Fucking
shit.
knew it. I thought of myself as well, and I was just like,
Oh,
someone's
Brad,
gonna say
no.
it. Someone's gonna say it.
Okay.
You're gonna have to help me along here because I took lots of magical spells and I have absolutely zero idea how any of them work. So because I rarely play magical characters.
Just cast them and have fun and see what happens, mate. Don't
Well,
min-max.
No, that's
There's
what,
loads
no,
of
no,
things
that's
to try
exactly what I
here.
mean.
Loads of
That's-
things to try.
Well, I'm just casting my unseen servant.
Okay.
As a and I can cast them. Oh, it says I can cast them within 60 feet.
Sure.
Would I be aware? Okay. Would I be aware of where the contract currently resides?
Oh, so you're thinking of the actual paperwork that you've done for Shakreth.
I guess so. I mean, Brian wouldn't say that he has done any paperwork for Shakreth, but he is curious about it. So where would he know? Where was the last time he'd have seen it?
I mean, it's with Shakreth.
Okay.
So Shakreth picked the contract up at the point where it had been signed. So if you're wanting to take that, it would be the same as if you were going up to someone and trying to essentially take something off them.
Didn't you charm her?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it really
Yes, so
sleazily.
effectively.
You know, like when two people are in a doorway in like a film noir, and they're both sort of both trying to exude sex to each other. I'm just gonna try and not sleazy in an outrageous way, but I'm gonna try and just take it, pluck it in a suave sort of way from her, so I can give it a read.
All I can think of is the implication.
Only you're thinking about that, Brad. I don't even know what
No,
you're
it's
talking
just
about,
the scene where they're on the ship, and that's what's from to mind.
mate.
Okay, so was it your unseen servant doing this or you?
I have no idea. Yeah, my unseen servant's gonna do it because because that's part of his charm. You know, he's not gonna do it himself.
Nice.
Okay.
And yeah, so he's gonna cast the unseen servant inside the door, but on the other side of her, but so that she can see. It's not a trick. It's part of his shtick, I suppose.
I mean, yeah. So Shakreth is friendly to you, has no issue with you, and if you want to take it, she's not going to stop you. There's no contest here. Just
cool.
Banana, taking a contract. Let me get that from your hands, please, Shagrath.
Yeah. So
your unseen servant is holding the contract.
As a bonus action, I can command it to me 15 feet. Oh no, that's no good. So I'll sort of have the unseen servant wafting it ready for me. And as a bonus action, I'm going to pass, as it's happening, I'm going to pass my card to Helena. And my card is a human tooth with like a string coming out of it with some details on it. And I'm going to...
Just like Kesha.
What's that, Kesha's?
She got her fans to send her their teeth, and she made a headdress and a bra out of it.
That's deeply disturbing.
What?
Yeah, I feel like Kesha would make a good
She's like the face in the group for the BBEs, isn't she?
Yeah. So then as a bonus, I'm going to cast Bardic Inspiration as I do it, and give Helena Bardic Inspiration and say something like, don't say I don't do anything for you, just a little sweetener for the deal. If you go ahead with being one of my lieutenants, one of my right hands, here you go. And I give the thing and I cast Bardic Inspiration.
Nice.
Is that everything you're doing for your go?
Yes, although I think I need to point out that my Bardic Inspiration is slightly different. I'm trying to find out where I found this information. It is... hold on.
No worries.
Magical Inspiration. So I don't know if this is one of my features, I think. So if a creature has a Bardic Inspiration die from you and casts a spell that restores hit points or deals damage, the creature can roll that die and choose a target affected by the spell. Add the number rolled as a bonus to the hit points regained or the damage dealt. That's not a normal Bardic. That's
cool. No, so I could use it on skills, but I could also use it with my magic to make things more painful.
Okay. So if you don't need it in your performance, you can always use it when you come back.
Thank you.
Cool. No
and that I think I'll stay where I am, providing I'm not actually in anybody's way. I'm going to just loiter by the entrance.
Sure.
Actually, I'll loiter, but yeah, I might as well come up and loiter by the unseen servant and be by the cannon maybe, and just sort of inside the room, but out of the way.
Cool, no worries at all. I mean, in terms of, just so everyone's clear on it, obviously in terms of blocking doorways or anything like that, it's a big, wide double door. So moving on down, it is now the turn of the statue. It is not a happy statue at all. And it's now going to take that check. And because it had been shoved on the grease, its legs are really wobbling, and it's going to be doing this at disadvantage. Let's see if you knock it down. Ooh, could someone remind me, what was the DC for the grease spell that went down earlier?
It is 15.
15. Okay, let me just double check this bonus. Okay, it has failed. So I believe it's knocked prone, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Stay down, bitch.
We have a prone statue lying in the puddle of grease. So yes, that shove was successful in knocking it down. It's pretty wounded. It's lying on the floor. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it can crawl, can't it, still, when it's prone? So I think actually what it's going to do is it is going to use its action to try and stand back up and get away from you all, basically. It's not looking too happy. So what it's going to do is it's going to stand and then move.
So standing would be half its movement. It doesn't have to use an action to do that.
That's me getting that rule wrong. Sorry. So yes, no worries. In that case, it's still going to be trying to get away from you guys. It has had enough. So it's going to stand for half its movement and then start moving. Unfortunately for this statue, it was not particularly quick anyway. So it is only going to make it as far as its original position.
It's difficult terrain as well.
Yes, so it's also on half its speed.
Greece isn't difficult terrain. No.
Oh, is it not?
Is it not difficult terrain?
No. The only effect it has is that if a creature enters or starts its turn there, it has to roll saving throw or be knocked prone.
Okay, so it's going to be moving one more space, I believe. And therefore it can get a tiny bit further away from you.
Right, retract that. I'm an idiot and I can't read. And it is difficult.
It is difficult. Right. Back you go.
Everyone's
Okay.
you were so certain. Everyone's like, "Wait,
the
must be
three
right."
nodding heads saying no, it is difficult to
Well, like,
correct.
fair enough. Bradley,
It
you're,
is-
you're a
okay.
DM normally, so you
I'm
know
not-
we believe you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I don't usually play wizardy classes.
That's all right. It's well we're
Okay,
playing.
it's going to get that far, and then it's going to take an action to try and dash away from you all, and it is going to move a little bit further towards the portal. It is looking battered. It's really not good. So that is everything it's going to do. So moving on in the order, we are down to Chimini.
Ooh. So I'd like to move to the center of the rug, please.
Mm-hmm.
And then using my alchemist's tools, I'm going to quickly wrap a potion up using, what was the materials again? Yeah, and just like a bit of tallow, pinch of brimstone, and it's all just going in this pot. And then I'm going to throw the potion right next to the crab thing.
Okay.
So a bit to the south, and that is going to cast Flaming Sphere 5 feet below it, which is a concentration spell. Summons a 5-foot diameter sphere of fire in unoccupied space. Any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of the spear must make a dexterity saving throw. However, as a bonus action, I can move the spear 30 feet and ram it into a creature, forcing it to make that save then.
So, cool.
So I'm going to ram the sphere into the crab thing.
Nice.
So it must make a dexterity saving throw. And since I used more rules, since I used my alchemist supplies as the spellcasting focus, I gain a +4 to 1 roll of the spell if I do damage.
Okay. So what's the save?
It is a 15 dexterity.
Okay, it has passed the save.
Okay, so he takes half damage, I believe. Where's it gone? Yeah, half damage. So 13 halved down to 7. Sorry.
7 damage?
7 damage. 7 points of fire damage.
No worries. Yeah. It's definitely taken damage as you would expect. Does recoil slightly from the fire. It's a decent hit on it. Okay, is that everything you can do, or can you take another action with it?
That was my action and bonus action. Yeah.
No worries at all. So, in that case, moving on down the order, we go to Calcify. What would you like to do?
All right. Calcify is gonna see that the caretaker just tried to blow the monster, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, that's not how you do it. You need to use some real magic." And he's gonna take a couple of steps to his sort of right, so he's sort of there, and then he's gonna be like, "Dolores, I need you. I need a hand here." He's going to open up his hands like this, and Dolores is going to come jumping over him and clap on top of both of his hands to create a thunder wave at the monster.
I like Dolores. She's great.
Okay. So Thunderwave is a save, is it, for the monster?
It is. Well, if it's a con save of 16.
Okay. So it has failed the save.
Brilliant. So on a failed save, a creature takes 2d8's worth of damage, thunder damage, and is pushed 10 feet in any direction. And I'm going to push that thing back into the portal.
Query, DM. Thunderwave is a 15-foot cube. It's come out of the portal, which would be hit by that cube. Those crystals would also take this damage, yes or no?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is, because I'm assuming you're dumping it like directly on top of where the creature is, essentially, like you're not.
I mean, I know it's not a cone, so it doesn't originate from me, but I guess the clap was sort of to make
No,
it.
it does originate
in a
from
way.
the edge
Oh,
of
cool.
the 15
Then,
foot
yeah,
has to be
so-
on you.
Cool.
Dolores and I
Amazing.
slap him.
Yeah. So absolutely. So in the case of the gems, because they are literally just because they are like magical gems, essentially what they're going to do is they automatically pass a saving throw. But in the case of Thunderwave, on a pass, do they still take damage?
Yes, they still take, but it's only halved, and they're not pushed.
So yeah, so Gem's going to take half damage, but you can fully damage and push the creature.
What? 11. So it's 11 points of damage to the creature, and then that halved will be 5 points of damage to each crystal.
Okay, so the crystal on the left now explodes.
Cool.
The crystal on the right is hanging on. It's really damaged, but there's still just enough of it left. So at this point, the portal itself is really starting to collapse. So it's almost like this weird freeform shape now, because there's only one thing tethering it. Like there's no real circle to speak of. It's a blob. And it's kind of ricocheting off the wall. And at this point, the large clawed creature is going to be thrown backwards because the portal is still in play in this bizarre form. As it flies backwards, it is sucked through the shimmering blackness. It's gone.
Interesting.
Oh, Calci. Of course you did.
I always do it for you, babes.
Okay, I am going to point out to you all at this point, Thunderwave is, of course, very, very loud. And we'll find out what happens with that later.
Oh, Helena, I'm so sorry.
I haven't made it on stage yet.
Don't make noise.
I'm still on stage, and actually, I've got it. Don't worry, it's gone well.
So at this point, this creature's been thrown backwards, and it is time. So actually, sorry, just to double check, Calcify, was there anything else that you wanted to do on your turn after thunder waving?
Yeah, I want to just basically get just maybe back to my original position.
Sure. So you want to sort of step back around the table?
Yeah, I think that basically covers all my movement.
No worries at all. And then we will be moving to Helena.
Right, so Helena's going to bomb it up the stairs, where Tracy and Chad are already there, just ready with bangles and stuff. I put my arms out and the bangles go on, and she's running up the stairs. And as she runs up the stairs, she uses disguise self on herself and goes from just everything to this full on. And she's in like a weather mac. She's got an umbrella by her side, and like even her like this long dress that is made out of like anorak material, but all sequined, of course, and multicolored. And as she comes up stage, she grabs the stage manager's resonance crystal, whatever that does for the tannoy, and she flicks it to the auditorium, and a thunder wave goes off, and she goes, "That's right. Can you hear the thunder? It must be time for a change of weather. Temperatures rising." And I can't go any further. Stream.
Okay, we're going to hold the onstage action there for now, but very nice incorporation of Thunderwave into what's going on front of house. So at this point, that's obviously going to be Helena's go. We've now taken Helena out of the action. We're going to rejoin later to find out how that act goes down with the audience. For now, rejoining the initiative order, we're actually back to Shakreth's turn. Now, at this point, Shakreth's had the contract kind of plucked out of their hands, but as I said before, they're not especially bothered by this. They seem fairly relaxed at everything that's happening around them. I mean, To be honest, they're a devil, it's a portal, and some monsters. It's a Monday as far as they're concerned. So Shakrath's just going to pass their turn, just waiting it out, seeing what you're all up to. So the portal itself is still bulging and rippling away. However, because we've now just got this one crystal in play, you can see that something seems to be trying to shove its way through from the other side. At this point, nothing successfully emerges. So we are back round to the top of the initiative order with Varoog El Het.
I like these firebolts. I'm just saying. They seem to work quite well for me. So I'm going to move forward 30 foot, but lean against the side, the east. So what's that? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, like about, I don't know if I can click on anything. But yeah, basically 30 foot forward.
Sure.
Slightly off to the east. Perfect. And I am going to cast Firebolt at that last crystal.
Of course.
See if that works.
No worries.
Oh, I got an 8.
Okay. So unfortunately, that isn't high enough to hit it. These are reasonably easy to hit, but you do still have to be able to aim fairly straight on. So in this case, the firebolt does go a little bit wide of the crystal and instead just kind of smashes against the back wall of the prop store.
Okay, fair enough, as that was terrible. Can I think that's me. I don't think there's anything else that I can do at the moment, but thanks anyway.
No worries. Okay.
I unfortunately forgot to mention, by the way, that flaming spear sets anything that's flammable nearby on fire.
Okay. So yes, we are definitely going to be having. Okay. So obviously, where the monster was standing and where the portal is as you can see, it's in the middle of a busy prop store. So you've got a lot of stuff around it. And as I said earlier, there's a lot of cheap things. So we've got lots of cardboard and we've got lots of fabric and paint and things that are trying to fake being things, unfortunately.
Lots of flammable things.
Lots of flammable objects. So we're definitely going to be getting a bit of smolder, a bit of smoke starting to come out of the north end of the prop store at this point.
This couldn't have gone better for you, could it? Could it, Helena? Could it?
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, so at this point, it is the Caretaker's turn. Korbis, the Caretaker, what would you like to do?
Do I have space to run up to last crystal without being set on fire?
So, with the way that the prop store is arranged, because things are very much around the edge of the room at the top there, you can absolutely be going up near there without touching what's on fire. Because we're talking about things kind of against a wall, really, at the
big
point
flaming
where
spear.
that is.
Can I get to...
Oh, I'm sorry, you mean the spear itself. Right, got you.
It's if you end your turn within 5 feet.
I'll be okay. I run up, I get my broom, and I hit the last crystal. Go away, stupid thing.
Okay, I mean, if you want to smack it with a broom, can I just check? This broom, is it just literally a broom?
For the mechanics, it's a quarterstaff.
Cool.
It is literally a broom.
Literally a broom. So no magical properties, just broom.
Just broom.
Okay. In that case, make me an attack roll. And I think that's going to be oh no, sorry, because that'd be a quarterstaff and your...
I'm proficient.
Yeah, proficient in quarterstaff, so that's perfect. So yeah, quarterstaff attack against the crystal.
Ding.
14.
Okay. Your attack hits, and you know that it was a decent hit. You know you definitely hit it. However, you instantly notice that this object didn't manage to damage the crystal at all.
This makes me angry. But for the moment, I will Misty Step back to the table.
Okay, no worries. So you're back on the table. Props are smouldering. And at the moment, one crystal is still in play. And of course, you do still have your monster as well, your wounded statue. So it's Brian's turn. What are you doing?
So I think your unseen servants still got the contract, and Brian, as a bonus action, he goes, Caretaker, you'd probably be good on one of my courses. I think you'd probably really like it. I mean, you need it. You do need it. And you're exactly the kind of person we're looking for, initiative and all that. You're in a low position, but you can go high, far. And he gives him bardic inspiration of the same kind, as was given to Helena.
Can the Caretaker just reply,
only a sick mind deals in absolutes.
Just dicing on that line, aren't we?
And then he's going to. Do you think I'd be able to just pluck the contract from the unseen servant as a sort of free action, or?
Yeah, so you moved up anyway to where they'd obviously just taken it from Shakreth, so you're all very much in the same area. So what I would say is, to be honest, like, they are essentially your servant. Like you said last time, you wanted them to be holding it out for you. So yeah, I mean, it's very much there for you to take. I'm happy to say you've got it.
Yeah, cool. So thank you. And he plucks it, and he's eating grapes as well somehow, and because that's his thing. But he's eating them like from the top down with a, like he's already off the clock. And I think what he'd like to do is cast a first level distort value on the contract, to make it look like it's not valuable at all, or to the degree. Now, it depends how you want to roll this, because it's. But I would like to sort of. It's not the physical stuff I'd like to sort of use to make it look less valuable, because it's paper, right? So it's not going to look less valuable. A contract not going to look less valuable if the paper is less valuable. But I just want to do a few choice things that, if at a glance, like the distort value is, you would see it as a worthless sort of thing.
Okay, so what you're trying to do is make it look not as significant as it is, or?
Yeah, I think, if he was able to muster the right level of sort of convincing, he could say, it's worth nothing. It's not even worth the paper it's printed on. Right.
Okay. So with the spell strictly as written, obviously the only thing that you can really do to it, because it's meant to be distorting the value, it would normally be used to, like, so say you'd got a chalice and you wanted to put dents and nicks in it and say, look, it's secondhand, it's used, it's not worth as much. That's absolutely fair enough. So you can do things to kind of make it look sort of dog-eared and a bit rubbish. Obviously, that's not necessarily going to be changing then anything about the content of.
How about this then? Then it pulls out. Then it's. I'm sort of making it look like some of the important parts of the contract are actually either scratched or have holes in them, so that the actual sort of contract isn't complete.
So you're concentrating the damage and like the wear and tear on certain areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Interesting. Yes, you can absolutely cast that spell, and it will appear as though you have damaged the areas of the contract you want to remove. Can I just say, I'm assuming, I mean, I'm making an assumption here that it's probably going to be bits like the small print area about the handing over of souls. Am I barking up the right tree?
Yeah, and a few things that, like, maybe he's going to try and work in his ownership into it a little more. And, as a possibility. But yes, some of the souls bits are gone, and a few other bits that put everybody into real trouble.
All right. You have amended the appearance of the contract, and for now, that's as far as I can tell you.
Okay, perfect. And then I think, with considering that Shakrath is not particular, I mean, he can still talk to her from the other side of the room, but she's not particularly, interested in his sort of brand of chat. So he's going to sort of just mosey on over to the boat, I guess, and maybe just sit on the prow of the prow. Is that the front bit? He's going to sit there on the boat. I think, just chilled, legs splayed. Maybe he's reading his book.
Okay. No worries at all. So, at this point, it is the turn of the remaining monster. Battered and bruised. It's going to try and run again. So, it's just making a dash, basically, for what kind of remains of the portal. And in doing so, it is, of course, when it first moves, going to come into the range of Calcify. And when it takes, it's basically then just going to try and keep going past you using a dash.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you will get an attack of opportunity.
Lovely. I will take that attack of opportunity.
Don't forget to add a D4. You're blessed.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I am definitely going to need it because I rolled a 5. Oh, I got a 4 on that. So that's 9 plus, what is my sword? Ah, it's only 12, unfortunately.
Okay. So.
Oh. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Luckily,
Stop
it just hits.
Nice.
So, roll your damage.
Oh, you don't get sneaking up on me. As just 7 points of damage.
Okay. It's bloody and battered, but it is still going.
With the blade song, it only gives me bonus in AC and acrobatics, and no, that's fine. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's only
no, absolutely. Double check. There's nothing else. Right. It means as your opportunity attack goes off, it is not well. It is not a happy monster, but it is still moving, which means it can still take that final dash. I've just realised I should have removed our other opponent from the board, of course. So you still have this little guy standing basically directly in front of the rippling portal. It clearly wants to head through, but it hasn't quite made it yet. It's not moving particularly quickly at this point, and that's as far as it's got. So next turn up is Chimini.
First, he's moved into the 5-foot range of the sphere, so he needs to roll a dex save.
Very good point. Sorry about that. In which case, let's see what happens to him.
That sphere is the crystal in the same as the sphere.
Okay.
No, it's not, is it?
So I'm pretty sure on an 11, that's going to be a fail.
That is a failure. So he takes 10 points of fire damage.
Okay. So, as the monster runs blindly at this portal, just desperately wanting to get away from you all, it was not expecting this. It wanted a snack. And so it's now running for the portal. It almost made it. But unfortunately, it was so blinded by its target that it completely failed to see the flaming sphere. As it hits it, it goes up again, and clearly fire is just what's ruining its day, because it goes up in flames spectacularly and then burns out, collapsing to the floor in front of the portal. So, at this point, you still have the portal in play. So, to finish, Calcify, you're still in initiative order.
It's still.
Sorry, because you didn't do it on your turn, did you? That's my mistake. That was just the response from the sphere. So do apologise, Chimini. You've still got an action, bonus action, and a movement if you want it.
I will. So I'm going to cast Acid Splash at the gem.
No worries. Okay.
Which it would automatically succeed its saving throw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it takes. Bear with me. 9 halved down to 5 points of acid damage.
Okay. So, as the acid hits it, the gem, cracked and broken, finally explodes. As it does so, the portal pulls in on itself and disappears, leaving behind simply the grubby prop store wall you all know and love. Around the edges of where it was, obviously you've got various things that are starting to smoulder, things are starting to catch. The ever-present flaming sphere is maybe not the thing the prop store needs right now.
Quick, I dismissed the fire, Rob. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No worries. Okay. As you have now destroyed the portal and monsters, this is the end of initiative order. You are out of initiative and the combat is done. So, at this point, we are going to shift perspective to find out what happened when Helena went on stage. So, we picked you up obviously earlier at the point where the thunder wave had boomed as you were going up to begin your act.
So, as the thunder wave goes off and Helena grabs whatever the contraption is that she knows very well and flicks it to auditorium, you hear Tracy and Chad scream down the stairs as well. And from out of dressing room 1, and you have no idea how that many people were in there, but there's like 16 people come screaming out of dressing room 1, all dressed in like multicolored, not quite as nice as Helena's, and all single colored rain macs and dresses and trousers. And in there are like 4 or 5 glisteningly oiled bodied men in very little underwear, all of the same rain mac material, all being dragged along on chains by the girls in their macs, and they run up the stairs, and upstairs the music starts playing, which we can't, for copyright reasons, actually create.
Can't keep it out of our heads though, can they?
But you know exactly, you know what it is. That it was a change in the weather, the temperature's rising, the barometer's getting low, and as the curtains
precipitating humanoids.
Exactly. The smoke from downstairs from the prop store starts coming up through the floorboards, and Helena's like, I prayed to the gods, it was all good. And she comes strutting out on her own and stands there stock still, and the dancers come up behind her, and she lip syncs to the Weather Girls' It's Raining Men. And as it goes through, there's this all cool, super cool moves. The lip sync is, well, we'll find out, pretty perfect. And when it gets to the chorus, the men are shoved forward as if unseen by a telekinetic force. And she throws her hands out. It's raining men. And this beam of energy strikes the man, and he blows up, and his body parts go flying all over the stage, a little bit into the audience. Helena puts her umbrella up, and the bits slide down the umbrella. And it gets to the next on the hallelujah, it's raining men, and another man blows up, and the dancers all kind of slip stock on all the viscera on the stage. Helena does not move, lip syncing for her life, and at the end of the piece, the umbrella comes down, and the last 2 remaining men on her shoulders, and she clicks her fingers, and they explode too.
Okay. At the end of this opening number, obviously you are presumably hoping that the audience believe a number of things. Firstly, that, all your words are in time and your lip sync was on, but also most importantly, how they're finding the fact that they've just seen all of these people explode.
Who needs men, right, ladies? At the end.
So, just to check, to lift the veil for our real audience at home, have these men really exploded? Are you
Helena
lying
can
to our
neither
audience?
confirm nor deny that.
So are you lying to our audience, or are you really showing them this?
Well, I mean, there's exploded men on the stage.
Okay.
Potentially. Who
Surely
knows?
the magic of the theatre is what the audience believes.
What they want to believe. What
Sure.
they want to believe has
Ryan's
happened.
like,
has
I knew I
happened.
liked
Then-
this one.
Yeah, then make me a performance check just to see like how are they going to find this? Like
Yeah,
people
sure.
have exploded.
Sure.
We all know that old lady at the front is loving it.
I'm going to
In
use
the
my
pink
bardic
dress.
inspiration to add to that 14. What dice roll do I add, Sean?
Let me check. It is. Oh dear. It is.
Is
here
it a
we
D6
are.
or a D8?
It is
Six.
a. It must. It doesn't say it in this one. It must just be a D6. Yeah, it's just
Okay.
a D6.
Well, that's helpful because that makes it 19.
Okay.
I mean,
Right
Helena never gives anything less than an amazing performance. Let's be fair.
That's maybe the highest roll. Is that not the highest roll we've had in the performance
No,
so
it
far? I
was
don't know.
23 for the tightrope stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So-
You're right. You are right. You're right.
Still 2 parts.
At this point, because your performance, so your lip sync's been absolutely spot on. And you know, obviously everyone's exploded, but you're still dancing away, lip syncing away. And so the audience are like, right, okay, so I've just seen some people explode, but if she's still going for it and happy, I assume this is
Everything's
fine.
fine.
It's just a trick, right? Must be a
All
trick
in the
because
best
she's
possible
still
taste.
going on. And because they're just watching you and being led by you and your performance,
Mhm.
at the moment, they're going with it. They assume what they're seeing is the magic of theatre.
It absolutely is the magic of
It's
theatre.
a good job those primary school kids went home, eh?
They'd have loved that.
Could have had a
Yeah,
balance
I
for
like
the
that
small
bit.
kids.
They would have. It's like the Roald Dahl of this universe, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely.
Okay.
They love the slapstick, the old in the panto. Kids love it.
So
It is
yes,
done
you-
slapstick style. It's not like horrific. It is done in like an over the top, like maybe there's a bit of glitter that comes
Their
out with the blood.
viscera was everywhere.
Yeah, but it had
Yeah, but
it
it's
had
nice
sequins and
viscera.
glitter in
It's
it.
like-
It's
it's a
fine,
good
yeah.
kind of viscera.
Okay, so with a stage now covered in glittery viscera,
Yeah.
we begin the second part of your act.
That's right. And I hold my hands out and I say, hey, you know those people that were listening to Brian earlier? You know, those people that want to be the B.B.E.G? Come on up here. I want to challenge you to a wig snatch. And like Britney Spears' Toxic starts coming on.
Yeah, tune.
So I think I'm going to take, you know, that Mr. Burns.
Mhm.
Mr. Burns can come up. Up you come, Mr. Burns.
Absolutely. Yeah, so because obviously you've specifically also called out and made that reference, it means the follow spot can find him. It's going to bring him all the way up to
Two
the stage.
very lovely ladies will bring him up to the stage, still dressed in their Weathermacks. And I shall, as he comes up, I shall cast Arms of Hadar behind me, and these big black tentacles come out of the floor. And I go, ooh, and they're like, they've got sequins on them though, and out of the tips of them, like, I don't want to go too phallic, but it's almost phallic, like spurts of like glitter dust come out of the ends of the tentacles. And one of the tentacles was putting Mr. Burns next to me, and I like draw my fingers down his chest, and then I grab my wig and I tear it off my head. And it looks like I've torn my actual head and body and costume off. And underneath it, as I cast Disguise Self again for free, is another me with another cooler costume. And this one's you can see the flared trousers. I look a little bit like Torvald Dean in the Bolero. That's basically what I look like now. And my hair is in like an upward twizzle, like lightning. It's got like tentacles coming out the side. I look a bit like Medusa. And I'm dancing to Toxic. And I run around Mr. Burns and I tickle him behind his ears. And one of the tentacles grabs my wig and tears it. And it's like it tears my entire body and all the clothes off. And I cast Disguise Self again. And it's another me. And this time I'm like Brittany in her taking off, you know, the flight attendant's uniform. And my hair's like actually made into the shape of the hat. And I go, now it's your turn, Mr. Burns. and the tentacle grabs him and just drags him down into nothingness, down into the pit. And I'd stand in front and go and cast a minor illusion of Mr. Burns there, standing in a different costume.
Okay.
Like the prestige, man. That's it. Yeah.
Obviously, you're hoping the audience are gonna fall for the fact that that this has all happened. So this is gonna be a deception check. Are they aware of what you've done?
So that did not go so well. About that, I'm going to use, to get myself out of this, I'm going to use my Fey presence to charm everyone around me.
So just remind me of what's your rule for Fey presence? How many people can that affect?
It's only people in a 10-foot cube, so I'm going to stand right at the front of the stage.
Okay, you can get the front row.
And the prince, hopefully.
He's quite a long way away from you because he's in a box.
Like, I've killed Mr. Burns and everyone's okay with it. So that's
sorry, just to check. So what was the roll there?
I rolled a natural 1.
Okay, right.
I absolutely rolled a natural 1.
So,
although if we're not doing critical failures, then I have an out.
Okay, so yeah, still, what's your bonus to that? What's your
7.
actual?
I've got
Okay,
+7.
so
I really don't mind either way. This is
all right.
quite fun.
The lie has not worked. It's basically the interesting thing is technically you have followed obviously a point where Brian has come out and talk about some fairly dark things, and there's a few people in the room who, relatively speaking, were kind of okay with it. So not everyone in the room is shocked and horrified, but really the majority of the room is feeling pretty shocked and horrified. And the prince at this point has leaned forward in the box, but it doesn't really look like one of those kind of enthusiastic, oh, this is great, what's going on here leans. It's more one of those, am I really seeing that?
Well,
so yeah, the crowd is getting a little...
Was it the illusion of the theatre? And like, she's really like struggling now. Like she's like tripping over a little bit. She slips over on one of the bits of like a bit of gut that's on the stage. Oh, okay. Just an illusion.
So the atmosphere is pretty weird.
Brilliant. I love it.
Now. It's pretty
tense. Now that I've got you genuinely worried that you might actually die, which you won't because it's all an illusion, we're going to move to the final part, the death drop. And like they wheel out this scaffolding that comes out, and I climb up. I don't know what music it is now. It could probably be some kind of 9 Inch Nails starts pumping out as I climb up the stairs. And I get to the top, and all of my dancers like dance in front of it. And now I just need 3 volunteers. And so I get the pink elf person. You can come up. You look beautiful work. Who was the other one, Brian, that you spoke to? Who else asked a question?
So you've already had Mr. Burns,
Mr. Burns,
who
right.
So unfortunately he is not going to be available.
I'm going to take one pink elf. I'm going to take one random, very scared person out of
not
child.
Okay, so you're going to need, obviously, unless you're going to use a spell or some other way of persuading them, obviously there will need to be relatively willing volunteers.
Absolutely willing. And I'm also going to ask the prince if he wants to join me in the death drop.
Okay.
Hey, Princey.
You can get your volunteers. They are going to come up, but what you're going to find is the prince is not going to move. The prince and audience participation is one of those things that no one's ever actually seen.
Yeah.
Very much more one of those sit back and observe people as opposed to get on the stage. However, you can absolutely have the pink dressed elf come up. She was obviously, again, she's a little bit more on board, you think, with some of this nefarious stuff. You've also got another couple of people who, again, to be honest, were sort of Brian's enthusiastic crowd. You've got one quite skinny human man who you're pretty sure was taking a lot of notes earlier. And you've also got one of the teachers who basically has started to make their way down
They
from
can
the
be the
balcony.
first one to chop
Obviously,
into it,
it's
right?
kind of got to the point where I think they've decided, well, the kids have gone off. I just don't care anymore. And they're just
I'd
like,
rather
fine,
die
go
on
on.
stage than teach these kids for another day, is what they're thinking. It's just going to put them out there. So, and then some more of my entourage wheel on this tray, this sort of ground of spears and swords, all poking up like Prince of Persia or a Lara Croft trap. And it comes down in front of the scaffolding, and we hold hands all together. Everyone hold hands, and the music's getting louder and louder and louder, and the lights are whirling round, and it's like it's you're not quite sure whether this is scary or awesome, but it's both basically. And
is it Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus? What's the tune?
Yeah, let's have Wrecking Ball as it comes in. I love this. Let's Wrecking Ball as it come in. And then on the chorus, I go 1, 2, 3, and I jump and I push them all telekinetically with me. And we jump down onto the swords, and I'd like do the death drop as I'm doing it, like full splits down. And where I am and where two of them are, but not the pink elf, is an illusion of swords and spears. And we all death drop on swords and spears. And then we get up and take a bow as they wheel off the pink elf very quickly off to the edge of the stage.
Okay. So, whether or not that final moment lands is again going to be on, can you sell that was a gag? Or does the audience at this point think you've murdered not one, but two of their number? So
it's not murdered. The other guy's just downstairs in the pit, you know? He went through a trap. Couldn't he? He was on the trap. The arms of Hadar were on the trap. So
okay, it's a performance check. Are they buying what you're selling?
Yes. And for good measure, although that looked like it, for good measure, my talisman glows as well. And I get to add 1d4 to the roll. So I'm going to do that as well, just for good measure.
Okay.
+3, so that's 21 in total.
All right. Amazingly, the fact that two people stood up from the last trick actually seems to have clinched it. Yeah. And the audience start going, oh yeah, well, I knew it was a trick all along, and doing the whole thing where everyone's like, yeah, I totally got it. I got it the whole time. And people are starting to get quite into it. And the prince is no longer kind of leaning forward like, what is this? And instead is like, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm on board with this. And in accordance, of course, all the attendants around and everyone in the vicinity of the box is mimicking the exact thing. People are getting on board with it now. And somehow it's almost like the success of the end has almost persuaded people that what they saw in the middle, maybe that was fine. She was clearly a plant. She answered a question earlier. She must just be someone they knew, right?
Absolutely. And I blow a kiss at the prince and I go to leave and I turn around last minute and go, it's Helena, bitch, and then walk off. And that's it.
Very nice. So, it's important to mention at this point that you didn't persuade everyone.
Well, some of them are dead. I mean, not dead. They're underneath the stage because we don't know whether I did or didn't. It's all the
Start to think that those men from earlier were also audience members, just picked up right at the start.
So basically, there are still going to be a few people who are going to stand up from their seats. You're losing about another 7 people from the auditorium at the end of your act. However, the atmosphere is good right now. They're really quite enjoying it. There's a bit of a buzz. People are having a bit of a chat, but in a good way. Like,
nothing
they're
like
quite
pretend murder
anticipating.
to get stuff going, is there?
Okay. But on that note, it's time to leave it here for this episode. So you're going to find out next time what happens in the wake of that performance, and of
Wake.
course
That's a
the
good
shenanigans
word.
in the prom store. Okay, so of course you can keep up to date in the meantime with the cast of Blood and Song. If people want to do so, Ryan, where can they do it?
You can find us at Blood Song Party on Twitter or Blood and Song at Facebook and Instagram. We have a Reddit community, we have a Reddit page as well, / Blood and Song. We've also got, if you find us on YouTube, search Blood and Song Aaron Well to beat that pesky algorithm. You can see all of the previous episodes we've done and some lore as well. And then also, I think that's it. No, have we got anything else? Oh, you can finally listen to us when we've got all good podcasts. So search Blood and Song or Total Party Win, wherever you listen to good podcasts to catch up in bite-sized chunks. What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? Let us know.
Okay, take care, everybody. We will see you back in the Smog Theatre soon when we find out what is going to happen in the finale.